Copyright disclaimer. Under Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing nonprofit, educational, or personal use, tips a balance in favor of fair use. Okay, this is Nathan Rich on his own channel talking about some of the abuse that he endured at the Mace Kingsley Ranch. His book is $196 on Amazon. I might just get it or find a way to get it and read it online. Because why not, right? Can't be suppressing all this abuse of children. The fuck out of here.
大家好, I'm Nathan Rich, aka 火锅大王. I've been hearing a lot about boarding schools that claim to help kids with their internet addiction recently. There's a lot of talk about them online, and I wanted to contribute my own story as well. You may not know I was actually sent away to a punishment boarding school in America myself. The repercussions echo throughout my life to this very day. My family was originally all Jewish, but by the time I was born, most of them were part of an American cult, Scientology. Yes, the same expensive, ridiculous UFO cult that Tom Cruise, John Travolta, and Elizabeth Moss are in. Everyone but my grandfather was part of it. My mother cut out my father and his part of the family from our lives before I had my first memory, and I have no siblings, so I grew up in an apartment in Hollywood with only my mother.
Hollywood, again, it keeps coming up.
As a child, I played with our two cats and spent most of my time alone. I fought back against the cult from literally as far back as I can remember. I never wanted to be part of it. I just wanted to be a normal kid. I was sent out to cult daycare centers and schools, and by the time I was 8 years old, I had already started to rebel against them. Though I loved my mother more than anything else in the world, she sent me to a cult boarding school in Palmdale, California. It was called the Mace Kingsley Ranch, or just the Ranch for short. In that boarding school, I was subjected to various forms of punishment for not wanting to be part of the cult. An ex-Marine ran...
He did not want to be part of it, and he was punished. Could that be the children's RPF that the LAPD pretend does not exist? Could that be getting your TRs in? Could that be ethics handling of children? Or how about not giving children any love?
The place, and he beat us with a wooden paddle. I was also thrown into a horse trough in the winter, and
I do wonder if that's that scum of the earth, Hanks. God, it's good he's dead.
made to do military-style jump squat push-ups in a mound of freshly gathered horse manure. They scrubbed my skin with a metal fence brush and did other humiliating things to me. After 8.5 months,
Can you see why his book is suppressed?
I finally got out of the ranch, but not because I had changed. My grandmother had been pressuring my grandfather to join the cult so much that they got a separation after 39 years of marriage, and while they were separated, he died of a heart attack. He was the backbone of the family financially and otherwise. His death shattered the stability of the family, and I was taken out of the ranch when I was 9 years old. Unable to communicate with my family about the abuses I experienced at the ranch, I contemplated suicide when I was 9.
9 years old, you guys. 9 years old. He's contemplating bluicide. And guess what? The LAPD know there are children right now within the Scientology walls in various places contemplating bluicide. And you know what? They don't care. They're fine with guarding the pedophiles inside of those buildings.
Thankfully, I did not go through with it. My mother decided to move us out to Florida to be at the headquarters of the cult. When I was 10, the pressure to be in the cult was so strong that I tried to commit suicide by laying in a street, the only method I could think of at the time.
I bet Clearwater police have no idea that these things go on, do they? Or wait a minute, they probably find the child in the middle of him or her contemplating it and drive him straight back to their handlers because the police are part of the handlings.
Fortunately, this attempt was unsuccessful, and I never told anyone about it. I continued to talk back in the cult schools, and by the time I was 12, I had gotten kicked out of every school I was sent to, and my mother was forced to put me in a private, non-cult school for the first time in my life. All the bad grades and trouble I had gotten into as a youngster suddenly stopped as soon as I was in a normal school. My grades
Must have been magic.
went from D's and C's to A's and then A pluses. I was even named the junior high school valedictorian at age 13. Though I had never finished a single year of school before this one, I was finally doing great. I had an amazing teacher who actually wanted me to learn about the world rather than just indoctrination. My refusal to participate in the cult practices eventually boiled over, and my mother had enough. I woke up one morning to find the very same Mace Kingsley Ranch security guard who scrubbed me with a metal fence brush 6 years before.
Who's that piece of shit? Anybody know who that piece of shit is? Is he still in Scientology? Because you know they breed them. And me being a veteran, I obviously don't stand with some scum like that.
Sitting on my bed. After some arguing back and forth, he grabbed my leg. I kicked him, and he twisted my arm around my back and started to drag me out of my house. He was taking me back to the ranch, whether I liked it or not. I was kicking and screaming
I do wonder what the name of this scumbag is.
for my mother to help me as he dragged me through the apartment. When we got to the kitchen, I saw my mother smiling. In front of her were signed documents. She had signed over my power of attorney to the cult. They were legally my parents and could do with me what they wanted.
So his mother, that he seems to love, signed him over. See all this guardianship? It really needs to be analyzed further. And I wonder how many lawyers would love to sniff into this and find out about all these guardianships that you and I both know are probably illegal. Yes.
When we arrived at the airport, we were escorted by armed police officers to the plane.
There you go. There you go. These police officers don't care about these children being abused. They're participating in it.
We flew from Florida to New Mexico and then drove nearly 4 hours into the depths of the Gila Wilderness, a remote forest. My mother specifically requested I not be allowed to contact my family until I was a graduate, a willing cult member. So I was not able to communicate with my family in any...
This really makes me sad. This is so sad. I don't know, I didn't catch his age at this point. But what is he, like 12 or 13? Had nobody to protect him. Scientology is full of these child predators. And it's time that the earth needs to be cleansed.
...way for almost 3 years. The punishments usually involved forcing the children to live on beans and rice, isolating us from the other kids, and watching us 24/7.
Child Protective Services.
They made us do manual labor day after day and had punishment camping trips with even more hard labor. With no hope and a family that didn't care about me because I wasn't part of their cult, I felt I had no hope, no reason to live. When I was 15, I tried to kill myself again. I took an entire bottle of extra strength Tylenol and waited to die. Instead, I vomited and felt sick for around a week. I was not given medical attention of any kind, but was instead punished further. My family was using money from my grandfather's estate to...
No love. No love. No care. I believe a lot of Scientologists are participating in this. And that's why you see these prestigious executives like the ones that make films and tell everybody how amazing they are helping children, are trying so hard to prevent these stories from coming out because they are the perpetrators.
Pay the cult. They had already spent literally millions of dollars over the years. The ranch alone cost them around $75,000 per year, significantly more expensive than the most expensive private schools. By the time I was 17, I had been there longer than almost anyone else there, even the staff. They wanted to push me through the program so that I appeared to be a success story for them. So suddenly everything became easier and easier, and I graduated the program. They needed me to be a graduate before I turned 18 because they knew otherwise I would just walk out the door when I legally could and they would look ineffective. The vastness of 3 years in a prison-like boarding school is indescribable.
Look at those children. Department of Justice doesn't care. The FBI doesn't care. Many other agencies don't care. Obviously, the police don't care. So they're not doing anything to stop it or investigate what, like a real, true investigation should be. Look at their faces, you guys. I'm trying not to cry, because these things get me worked up. Look at that. I don't know which one he is, but the kid on the left looks so depressed. This guy in the middle with the red. And they're also, you can tell they're malnourished. You can tell they're malnourished. They're skinny and their skin is so it's just real pale. The kid on the right. Oh my God. I mean, this is what's paying LAPD and all these other police officers their overtime. They're okay with it though. They don't have a problem. As long as child labor gets them that, what was the one cop said? It's good extra money.
Torture of that place, unimaginable. The effects are still with me today. These are the memories that come back to me when I hear the stories of the people on the internet today. After I graduated, my family's expectation for me to be a cult member grew to an all-time high. Unable to cope with it, I started to rebel and ran away from home only 2 months after returning. I went all the way to Washington on a 5.5-day bus trip. My family had made it clear they were never going to love me unless I went along with their plan, and I just couldn't do it.
Otherwise known as conditional love, which is narcissistic in nature. That's not real love.
Wanted to be normal. A short while after running away, I regretted it and tried to go back home. I called my mother, but she refused to take me back. She told me never to contact her or my family again. It was clear to her that no matter what they did, I just was never going to be part of the cult, and that meant they could never accept me. At age 17, I was without friends or family. I had no job or money, no skills or way out. My mind was different than most. I was raised in a destructive cult, and my thoughts and worldviews were warped from it. I was dying inside. So in the spirit of solidarity, I want to take a moment to pay respect to everyone who has had this type of experience in their lives. I'm just one of many, and I want to show these people with similar experiences that there can be a bright future, even with a dark past.
You can see the pain in his face. And if you guys noticed, he cut out.
You are not alone anymore because the world is waking up to these abuses. And this isn't the end of my story. While we do need to honor the past, we need to stay focused on the future. The second video in this 2-part series will explain how I turned my situation around, and after some extreme hardships, I eventually became successful, and more importantly, a happy person. Thanks everybody for listening.
So anyways, you guys, I will put the link in the description box. I'm glad he got out. And anyone in Scientology, especially if you're a young person, there's so many people out here that can help you. Please don't give up. Please, I'm asking you. Don't give up.